LeBlanc and Volibear drop out of the top 3 due to their nerfs, so we've got a new look for jungle and mid in 25.22 as we're ready to set you guys up with 3 of the best champions for every single role. But first, some hard truths. YouTube is built for the algorithm, not your LP. That means clickbait titles, junk food topics, and stretching simple tips for watch time. We're part of that system too, just like every guide and YouTube channel. And because every video is randomly surfaced to you as a singular guide and topic, advice often contradicts what you just watched. No context, no plan, more confusion. On our website at SkillCapped, however, we're free from all that, allowing us to focus on what actually matters. We teach in the most efficient way to really rank you up fast, with the same premium editing and challenger level coaches you see here, just without the algorithm's hoops. Start with our essentials courses for every role, updated for season 15. These are meticulously planned step-by-step guides that build your fundamentals in the right order. Once you've finished essentials, move into the advanced courses, deep dive wave control, advanced mechanics, and proven bronze to diamond climb paths, and literal world record jungle clears for each jungler, all structured so lessons stack instead of contradict. While you follow these learning paths, we also release our popular challenger walkthroughs, new sessions every week showing how to abuse the best meta champs for your elo, supported with an AMA section below each video, which we always respond to. We back it with a Climb 5 Divisions improvement guarantee while you're actively using SkillCapped, plus a 30-day refund change of mind policy on top of that, so there's literally no risk. Stop trying to mix and match random guides and start following a structured path far away from all the noise. Click the limited time discount link below to join SkillCapped today. So a top lane champ who got better last patch and making his way into the top 3 for 25.22 is Urgot. With Doran's shield and second wind getting nerfed, it's great for a champion like Urgot who has one of the best level 1s for any top lane champ. If you can get a good trade-off at level 1, then it's more rewarding now when up against a Doran's with second wind champion, so your ability to score early solo kills has become better. You should never be AFK at level 1 when playing Urgot, as running straight for brush control up top lane is what you want to do. You can get so many advantages and win lanes solely off good level 1 trades, so it's something you really want to focus on when picking Urgot. What's really nice about Urgot is that he doesn't have any hard losing matchups in meta right now. Olaf is one champ who can be more annoying to play into, but Olaf is picked very sparingly, so banning him out doesn't really feel that worth it. However, there aren't any other champs you have to worry about as much as him. The optimal build for Urgot revolves around a Black Cleaver Rush and Asterix Gauge second, and then either Jock Show or Overlord's Bloodmail third. Press the Attack is always the best keystone rune for Urgot, along with Inspiration for secondaries. A top lane pick that everyone below Diamond should be spamming for elo right now is Malphite. Malphite was just buffed a few patches ago and is far and beyond the best tank top laner that you can play. Even if you only use Malphite as a counter pick, he's as close to a free win champion as you're going to get in specific matchups. Champ has literally been up above a 55% win rate in the Aatrox, Jax, Jace, Tryndamere, Irelia, Fiora, Gnar, Quinn, Riven, and Camille matchups, which is absolutely unheard of. Usually counter matchups end up with the counter winning 52 or 53% of the time, but the fact Mal is currently up above 55% is just an absurd stat line. Mal can struggle more into other tanks like Sion and Mundo, along with AP bruisers like Sylas and Mordekaiser, as those are the only matchups you do want to avoid if possible. Sylas is the must ban out of those 4, as his teamfight impact with being able to steal Malphite's ultimate is just way too broken. The standard build for Malphite consists of a Sunfire or Hollow Radiance rush into situational tank items. For the Keystone rune, you should be taking Grasp when in those melee matchups, and then Comet if against ranged, or if you are into a more spellcasting reliant top lane pick like Aatrox or Alawi. And then for our third solo carry top lane pick of the patch, the best fighter top laner right now is Garen. For how simple Garen is to play, he's a phenomenal pickup for 25.22 with how powerful of a spot he's in. Although not quite as powerful as Urgot, Garen's level 1 if he starts E is really strong, so it's something you want to take advantage of. Sitting in the far brush in top lane and then waiting for the enemy to walk to lane and fighting them like this is a great way to generate an advantage right from the jump. Solo queue is all about taking control of your own lane and outright winning so that you don't have to rely on your team, so aggressive level 1 trades is a great way to do that. So that this strategy is most impactful, you can run bone plating and runes. Most Garen players take the sorcery tree for secondaries, but opting for bone plating if you are going to try and sneak into the top lane brush and go for a level 1 trade is most optimal. For your build with Garen, it's going to be a Stridebreaker rush into Phantom Dancer second and either Spear of Shojin or Infinity Edge third. Shojin will be most optimal in games where the enemy team is more durable and you won't be able to one-shot them with one rotation of spells, while IE works great if the enemy team is entirely squishy. Matchup wise for Garen right now, Camille and Kayle are always 2 tougher lanes, so using your ban on either of them is never a bad idea. So a jungler that's been on our radar the past few patches who's making his way into the top 3 for 25.22 is Rammus. Rammus has been a very sleeper jungle pick as of recent, and it all stems back to his buffs from 25.13. Rammus saw huge buffs to his W resists, going from 27 all the way up to 47 at max rank, and ever since then, he's been a top 10 win rate jungler. But now that Volibear is nerfed and Diana was just recently nerfed, it gives even more incentive to give give the Armadillo a go. Even with this W buff though, a Q max first into E second and W last is what's performing best. W max isn't terrible, but there's so much value in maxing Q because you get the cooldown of the spell down from 12 to 6 seconds, while W cooldown stays the exact same regardless of rank. Matchup wise for Rammus, he's really good if you can pick him into stuff like Yi, Viego, and Graves, but will struggle more against an AP jungler like Lilia, so she's a good ban to consider. For the build, it's a Thornmail Rush into Sunfire or Hollow Radiant second, and Deadman's or Jockshow third. The most ideal situation for Rammus is if the enemy team is full AD and he can go Thornmail into Sunfire and Deadman's, but if the enemy comp does have significant magic damage threat, that's when Hollow Radiance and Jockshow can be considered. So it was initially looking like Riot were going to slap Jax with a few nerfs for this patch, but they didn't end up going through, so he's back in the top 3 for jungle. If you're Emerald or below right now and all you play for 25.22 is Rammus and Jax, then you're putting yourself in a really good spot. Jax is the best pure carry jungler for the lower ranks right now, as he's super easy to succeed with if you get a lead. The majority of Jax's damage is point and click, so when it comes down to winning out in skirmishes, if you got the item advantage, there's pretty much no way for you to mess it up. And this has been amplified even further due to the resist buffs that Jax got in his R a few patches ago. You're just super tanky and deal a mass amount of guaranteed damage, so there are few junglers who can be as impactful as Jax without needing any sort of mechanical skill. For your build on Jax, 2 core items in every game should be Trinity Force and Sundered Sky, while items like Zanya's, Steric's, and Wit's End can follow. Lethal Tempo is the best keystone rune as it allows for Jax to thrive in extended fights, and then in regards to Jax's matchups, he wants to avoid playing into champs who don't rely on auto attacking at all to win out in skirmishes, so Lilia is a good champ to try and avoid. And then continuing to be the best AP jungler that you can play for solo queue is Diana. So Diana got nerfed last patch, but the nerf, as we expected, did not do nearly enough to drop her power level significantly. Diana is a really good jungler for solo queue because of the fact she has a very clear power spike in her level 6. The champ farms really well and can motor through a full clear because of all the AoE damage potential, so being consistent with your clear, cycling camps on respawn, and only looking for ganks when there's downtime will allow you to be really impactful on the pick. Once you reach level 6 is where you can be more aggressive in your decision making and skip camps, especially if you have your flash up, as a Diana with flash and R has some of the best gank potential in the game. Unless you are 100% sure you're going to score a kill on a gank pre-6, you should pretty much always prioritize clearing your camps over a gank, because hitting that level 6 as soon as possible is so vital, and if a gank doesn't work out, then you're just delaying your win condition. In regards to builds on Diana, you have a few options, as there's the durable Liandry's into Riftmaker that works best into tankier enemy comps, while Nashor's Rush can be considered if the enemy team is more squishy. Matchup-wise for Diana, Jax is one jungler in meta who most Diana players are really struggling against right now, so he's a good ban to consider. Diana needs to be able to weave auto attacks in order to proc her passive and win out in skirmishes during the early to mid game, and with Jax's dodge mechanic combined with the tankiness he gets from his R, it makes winning out in skirmishes very difficult for Diana when against Jax. So with LeBlanc nerfed for this patch, taking her spot in the top 3 for mid lane is going to be Anivia. Anivia was just recently buffed and is currently the best mid lane mage that you can play for solo queue. Our challenger mid laner Shori agrees that Anivia is a really good pick for the lower end of the ladder, and he's got a new full game commentary for the pick up on our website where he walks you through exactly how to abuse the champ for free elo. When you get level 6 with Anivia, she has the ability to acquire lane priority super easily with her R and can then look for roam plays. Anivia has a really underrated roam at level 6 because her R into W and then Q combo is such a great catch tool and will prevent the enemy from escaping for a very long duration unless they flash or dash away. In order for this combo to be most effective, movement speed is really key on Anivia, because as long as you can get in range to slow the enemy with your R, then that's all you need to consistently land the combo. Swiftness boots are extremely underrated on the pick and have the highest win rate for any boots on Anivia. However, only 24% of Anivia players actually build them. It's also why Relentless Hunter is the most popular rune in that third row of the domination tree. Something that's also quite interesting on Anivia is maxing your W out second instead of Q. W max second has a 2% better win rate than Q, and this could partially be due to Anivia one tricks being the only players running this skill max, but it's definitely something to try out if you haven't already. Increasing the size of Anivia wall for the mid game can be huge for blocking off choke points, and as long as your team is with you, it doesn't really matter if you're lacking a bit of damage from Q if you can block the enemy's escape path with the added width of W. So there are a lot of ways to optimize Anivia that many players are missing out on right now, which is kind of crazy considering she's already one of the best mid laners with people playing her wrong. The build for Anivia is the one thing that's super standard, as you want Rod of Ages into Archangels for every game. Matchup wise for Anivia, she doesn't like playing into longer range mages, so Hui or Syndra are two good bans to consider. For our second mid lane selection of the patch, she kind of plays in a similar fashion to Anivia, as we have Morgana. So just like Anivia, Morgana has the ability to shove out waves super fast and acquire priority in lane, but she can do this a little bit earlier, as you can begin one-shotting the range minions at level 5. In solo queue, being able to have the push in lane is so vital to succeed, because movement moving first when a fight breaks out in the jungle can single-handedly win you a game. And you know that both junglers are going to be fighting tooth and nail to secure those scuttle crabs, so if you can have the enemy shoved under tower and then be ready to rotate for your jungler, you set yourself up so well. Just being able to rotate on every play your jungler is making will tilt the ever-living daylight out of the enemy jungler as well. If you're the one moving first for every single play while the enemy mid is stuck under tower, then the enemy jungler is going to absolutely hate this mid laner. The best build for Morgana mid lane consists of a Blackfire Torch Rush into Liandry's or Horizon Focus second, while Zhonya's is generally the best third purchase. If the enemy team is more tanky, then going Liandry second for the percent health burn makes sense, but into squishier comps where you just want to be sitting back further and tossing out Qs, Horizon Focus is great as it provides the 25 ability haste and more upfront burst potential. Mobility is what's going to counter Morgana the hardest as it makes landing her Q much more difficult, so banning out Katarina or Zed is good value. And then a new addition to the top 3 for this patch, who has been criminally underrated as of late, is Naafiri. So over the past few patches, there's a new build that has been picked up by Naafiri players, and it's giving her a lot more power. On top of this, Hail of Blades is buffed for 25.22, and it's been Naafiri's best performing keystone rune in recent patches, so she's getting indirectly better while already being in a phenomenal spot. Back to the build though, it's Voltaic Cyclosaur that has really caught steam on Naafiri and is a great alternative to Eclipse. The passive from Voltaic just works incredibly well with Naafiri because the slow allows for Naafiri to easily land her Q, while the energized attack refreshes faster when you dash, which means when Naafiri uses her R or her E, she regenerates that energized attack much quicker. So the core build working the best right now consists of Voltaic into Opportunity second and Edge of Night third. A good ban to consider when picking Naafiri is Yasuo, as his Wind Wall and mobility can do a really good job at limiting your strength in the 1v1, as landing Q consistently is super difficult. So moving on to the bot lane now, a champ who has started seeing more play as of late and who's such a reliable bot lane carry to climb with is Ziggs. We've seen Ziggs pulled out at Worlds this year and has been a super impactful champ, and he's arguably even better for solo queue. There are a couple of reasons for Ziggs being such a great bot lane pick, starting with the fact that he can dominate lane against most traditional ADCs. You take Teleport as your secondary summoner spell on Ziggs, so the game plan is to try and poke away at the enemy ADC whenever they are going for last hits, whittle them down low enough, and then if you drop low on mana, you just take a quick base, teleport back to lane, and continue to pressure relentlessly. With Ziggs being able to shove in most ADCs, it allows him to chip away at tower plates really easily and amass a huge gold lead solely off of getting a CS lead and collecting plate gold. You don't even need to get kills in lane with Ziggs to come out way ahead of the enemy, which is a big reason to why he's so consistent. You're also way less reliant on your support to be good in order to succeed with Ziggs, because as long as you can hit your long range poke, that alone can win you lane without your support even needing to interact. For the build on Ziggs, it's going to be a Luden's Rush into Horizon Focus second and Rabadon's third as the core, while Comet will slot in as the keystone rune. Matchup wise for Ziggs, avoiding champs who have heals is ideal so that your poke sticks better, and therefore banning a meta support like Nami is good value. For the second solo carry ADC of the patch, it's going to be Ashe. Ashe is such a good ADC for solo queue right now because you don't have to worry about running into a bad ADC matchup. Because of the range advantage that Ashe has, it allows her to thrive in lane, and she has a lot more agency over how lanes play out than most other ADCs. It also helps a lot that Melio is one of the most played supports in the game right now, as the fact Melio's W increases Ashe's auto range even further makes her incredibly oppressive, and that duo has over a 54% win rate currently. It really doesn't matter what support you pair up with Ashe though, as she can do well with melee supports or enchanters. Ashe provides enough CC on her own, so if she's with an enchanter, then she can just make plays happen, but if she's with a melee engaged support, then the chain CC lockdown potential is pretty disgusting and makes her a ridiculously strong level 6 gank assist. All in all, just one of the best blind pick champs you can play down in bot lane right now, who doesn't go by the name of Ziggs. Build for Ashe consists of a Kraken Slayer Rush into Phantom Dancer second and Infinity Edge third, while Lethal Tempo is the best keystone rune. The only weakness of Ashe is the fact that she lacks a gap closer, so using your ban on a meta dive champ like Jarvan is never a bad idea. And then a staple in the top 3 for ADC who's back again for another patch is Jinx. With the buffs she received a few patches ago, no other ADC has been buffed enough to overtake Jinx's spot in meta, so she's been a really great pickup for a while. There's just no better ADC when it comes down to thriving in mid-game teamfights than Jinx. Jinx's passive providing all that bonus attack speed and movement speed allows her to chain kills in fights and completely take over games. This makes her incredibly potent in the chaotic skirmishes that define solo queue. With enchanter supports being favored more than melee supports right now, it makes Jinx's teamfight potential even more devastating, as her main weakness is getting dove on and blown up right away. But if you have someone like Lulu or Melio by your side, then your survivability in fights increases drastically. Of course, you can't always rely on your support to provide you with good peel though, so banning out a meta dive champ like Zed or Jarvan is always good value. For the core build on Jinx, you want to be rushing Yuntalin to Infinity Edge second and Hurricane third, while Lethal Tempo is the best keystone rune. It would be really nice if Riot did something to shake up the support meta, because there's just simply no reason for us to take Melio out of the top 3 for support if they don't. Melio has been a staple in the top 3 for quite some time now, and that won't be changing for 25.22. With Emilio being so good for so long, we even went ahead and made a guide on how to abuse the pick, so definitely check that out if you haven't already, as we'll link it in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Emilio's kit is just loaded with defensive utility that turns his carries into unkillable raid bosses. The fact that he has the AoE cleanse with his ultimate is so powerful, because while most other supports would have to build an entire item in Mikhail's to provide their team with a cleansing effect, Emilio just gets it built into his kit. His abilities are so easy to use as well, so it takes no skill at all to be consistently impactful on the champion. Unlike some supports who fall off or require specific conditions to be useful, Emilio remains relevant throughout the entire game. His scaling is solid, his peel never stops being valuable, and his ultimate becomes even more game-changing as team fights become more important. The optimal core build for Emilio revolves around an Echoes of Helia Rush into Moonstone or Ardent Censer second, while Airy is the best Keystone rune. Hook supports like Blitz or Pike are who Emilio is going to struggle most against because you can't cleanse their hooks with your R, so banning out either is a good idea. So indirectly buff for this patch and making her way back into the top 3 for support is going to be Poppy. Hail of Blades attack speed is going up from 140 to 160% in 25.22, so that will provide Poppy with even more upfront burst power. If you were to just play Poppy and Emilio for 25.22, then that's all you'd really need. Emilio is the blind pick, and then Poppy is the counter that you should use to destroy melee engaged supports. Poppy's specialty is shutting down champs who need to dive in, so she's great against Nautilus, Pike, Alistair, Leona, and Rakan. Ranged enchanters who have strong peel power are who Poppy is going to dislike playing against the most, so banning out Karma or Janna or even Emilio if you don't intend on picking him is a good idea. It's a movement speed focus build with Poppy, as you go Swiftness Boots with Deadman's Plate as your core items. With the movement speed rune shard getting buffed for this patch, definitely look to try it out on Poppy. The shard did have a better win rate than the adaptive damage in recent patches, so it's going to be a great option for 25.22. Movement speed is just such a broken stat on Poppy because of how important positioning for stun angles with E is. So that's 2 indirect buffs for Poppy as we head into this patch, which should land her in a really powerful spot. And then back in the support top 3 for a second patch in a row, and one of the best teamfight supports is Amumu. Amumu just has everything that you'd want from a melee engaged support for solo queue, as his chain CC lockdown and damage output are both incredible. Whenever R is up, it's the go signal to be aggressive and look for engaged plays if you have the numbers advantage, or if you can just win out in the 2v2. If you're paired with an ADC who has long range follow-up like Ashe, Jhin, or Jinx, then locking down kills at level 6 is super easy. A flash R into Q combo with Amumu takes no skill at all, and is such a reliable way to set up kills for your team. And if your ADC is not looking so good, then it doesn't really matter. Amumu's roaming potential is exceptional for a support. His Q gives him strong gank setup for mid lane, and his ultimate can turn any skirmish in the river or jungle into a one fight for your team. In solo queue, where supports often need to impact other lanes to carry, Amumu's roaming tools are top tier. Amumu can be a little more vulnerable pre-6 because he doesn't have a reliable poke tool or way to provide pressure besides going all in, so banning out a ranged support like Karma or Morgana is a good idea. The standard build for Amumu consists of a Locket Rush into Redemption second with Celestial Opposition as the item upgrade, while Aftershock will be the Keystone rune. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone, that's a complete look at the best champions for every single role as we head into 25.22. Thanks so much for watching, we'll see you in the next one.